So, um, then I usually escaped after that by doing some weird stuff I remember, but don't want to go too in depth here. And then I would that would be our fun. That's what we did on a really everyday basis, was that sort of stuff. We also had booby traps, so bear traps and fox traps that would slow us down because we always wore boots. So they really did nothing but clamp our foot down in place and make us so we're an easier target. We would also put trip lines of like fishing. We braided fishing line and tied it around trees so we would trip over it. And also, we would tie 200-pound logs up in trees. So if we tripped over a certain trip line, they would come falling down on top of our heads, killing us. I almost was killed with one of those, but I rolled out of the way just in time. We also placed a spider line or choke line up like neck level. It was fishing line, and it was like only about like 10 pounds, so you could not see it at all because it was so thin. But it was strong enough to choke you. So we would like run into that with our necks, and then it would snap and get tangled around your neck while you're being fired at with airsoft guns. So we would be an easier target while we're trying to pull this stuff off that was tangled around your neck. We would also place a barbed wire at hip height. So, and the barbed wire was rusted, so you couldn't see it. Contrast to the woods around. So you would go running to barbed wire with your belt or your stomach or your upper thighs, flipping over that into wooden stakes. There's also stakes posted all the way around, so if you tripped or anything near them, you would probably be skewered on them because we sharpened them really nasty. We also had like stuff that catches your foot and hands you upside down in a tree. We had those and everything. We had a lot of booby trap stuff back there, just to slow them down, and most of the stuff could kill us. Then we did that for 2 years. I had 150 scars when I was 15, all over my body, all sorts of sizes. Little ones about like maybe like an eighth of an inch, to ones that was about 3-4 inches long. I think the longest one I had was from my ankle to my knee. And most of them are gone because since I grew more since 15, my skin stretched and they all faded away. So all I have is one I cover up. It's horizontally with my eyebrow. Two notches in my ear. This ear, I don't think you can see it, but it's like dented right here. It's from when a log fell in my ear, and it kind of tore a little bit off. Stitches right there. Then I have some on my shoulder and my elbow, and some other places I don't like to go into. And at 16, I first asked God, I was like, hey God, what do you want me to do with my life? And this was back in March of 08. And so 3 nights God showed me 3 dreams. The first night was if I was in the Army Rangers and was single, I would be shot 3 times up the chest and die for my country. Buried in Gettysburg by 30. And if I was second night was if I was in the Army Rangers and was married or engaged. I would parachute behind enemy lines and be captured for 3 years. When I got out and back to the U.S. and the government issued me KIA, so my wife remarried and everybody thought I was dead. I had my own grave at Gettysburg. I was still alive, life totally messed up, happy joy. Third night was just mainly a picture, but it was of me and a wife and some kids living a happy, joyous life. And then after that picture, God told me, He was like, pick, you choose your own destiny. I showed you what each path lay before you, now you choose it. So I was like, God, I want to be a ranger. He was like, okay, you'll forget about these dreams. Then a couple weeks later, my mom knew that if I went in the army, I would die for some reason, probably because the spirit told her. And I told her, hey, I'm thinking about being a missionary because I never wanted to come back to the U.S., wanted to leave and never come back. So I was like, hey, I'll think about being a missionary just to get her off my back. Come to find out, when I went it was 2 hours away, I went somewhere, and she signed me up on a mission trip in Paraguay, South America, like on the other side of the world, for 16 days with a bunch of people I never met. When I came back, she told me, and I was like, I love you, Mom. And I met them for about 11 hours before I actually went 16 days with them. Went to the other side of the world with them. Kind of liked it, everything. And right before I went on the mission trip, though, my youth pastor gave a sermon. He was like, I lay before you two choices, life and death, choose life. I forget what verse that is, but it's somewhere in the New Testament. Lay before you two choices, life and death, choose life. And God brought those dreams back up to my remembrance. And then I was like, fine, God, I choose what you want me to do. Even though I really still wanted to go in the army. So I went on the mission trip. Sort of liked it. Liked being away from home. Nothing bad at home. I just never wanted. I just don't really care if I go or not. I love home. Love my family. They're awesome. Everybody says so. They really are. Nothing bad. But I don't like back up home. I like being out on my own and everything. Then after the mission trip, the same friends that I went on the mission trip with, I signed up for a 3-day youth outing. It was a bunch of teenage guys, juniors and seniors, that just hung out for 3 days, eating a crap load of food and barely sleeping and just being preached the word of God. I hated everybody. I loved death. I loved hate. I loved anger. I loved blood. And I still loved it by now. This was like July 7th or 9th of 2009. And I went on a 3-day weekend trip, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And Saturday night, God freed me of everything because I had to hug 100 people, and I hated hugging because I wanted to see them die. While I hugged every single one of them, I was like, I wish you die. I can't wait for you to die, because how can you hug me if you know who I am? While I was up there looking back at all of them who hugged me, God bestowed in my spirit, he was like, they love you. They did all this for you, and you hate them. Why? You should love them back. And I was like, why, God? They don't know me. They don't know how horrible I am. They don't know that I want to kill them. They don't know that I could kill anyone and not feel a thing. I'm not afraid of death, and I welcome it. They accept me from that. I hate that. And no one's accepted me. Why should they? And God was like, they love you. Love them back. So I went back to my seat after they all left, and I was praying, and God said, let it go. Let everything go. Just open your heart to me, and I'll return everything to you. And I was really reluctant to, because that's all I knew is death, blood, and pain, nothing more. And I finally gave in after 2 hours of arguing back and forth with God. He showed me everything. First emotion he showed me was pain, to see that it really did not hurt. I was changed after that. It was totally a blessing.